What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Coin Vigilante podcast, where you're going to get to hear a layman talk to some of the most prominent figures in the crypto and finance world as they try to explain some of the most complicated topics regarding finance, economics, stock market, and crypto in general. I will use this as an opportunity to gain a better understanding, and I hope you do as well. You're going to enjoy this next killer episode. And again, I thank you for watching. Let's go. All right. Welcome, guys, to another episode of the Coin Vigilante show and podcast. Today, we have Litecoin Lisa. Many on Twitter know you. You know, you're a full supporter of Litecoin. You always do your streaming and your lives. And look, I'm following on your footsteps because I never really do any of this. I always do it just recording, and now I'm putting myself on the spot by doing things live. Anyway, Litecoin Lisa, welcome to the show.
I love it. I love that you're pushing yourself. And I think that, that's one of the great things about the crypto community. We're all in it and here to support each other, and together we're better, encouraging each other. So I'm really excited for you trying something new and pushing those boundaries. I think that's great.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, honestly, guys, literally, I've never done one of these. Well, I did one with Brief It Dance the other time, but now I'm doing it on actual Twitter. So anyone on Twitter can now see what's going on live. And she was literally just helping me in the past 10 minutes trying to set this up. So, hey, yes, exactly. Very supportive community. So,
yeah, you're a quick learner. So, you're good.
Yeah, right on the spot. So, okay, I want to get to have a cool conversation today about crypto, censorship, maybe talk about a few tokens here and there. But before we go any further, can you just give a quick explanation and background of who you are, how you got into crypto, what interested you so much into getting to Bitcoin and all this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I knew nothing about cryptocurrency. My background is in nonprofit work. I founded and ran the largest volunteer effort in the state of Oklahoma for over 13 years. Had a tragic loss of my daughter, who had adopted, and helped get a heart transplant. We got to have her for 7.5 beautiful years. And then while we were fighting cancer with her, my assistant embezzled all the money from that nonprofit. So I was a single mom with 5 kiddos, and had to go change my occupation at that time. But I was able to push the work that we had done over all those years to another nonprofit so that the work would continue. That led me down this whole weird thing of like, who am I? I had gone through a divorce, and my daughter passed away, and just all these changes. And that's where I came up with the whole new normal idea. And I actually was going to interview people going through changes in their life and experiencing those new normals, just as kind of a healing to myself as well. And then I met a wonderful man, and who helped me through the loss of my daughter, and just became really my best friend and my partner in life, which I hadn't experienced before. It was really scary for me to think about getting remarried, but he's just been amazing. And so we decided to get married, and my mom, who was about 70 at the time, gave us Litecoin for our wedding gift, and shared with us. And she was really brave about sharing with us about cryptocurrency, because I guess some of my other siblings, I'm one of 7, and some of my other siblings had, kind of pushed back on my parents because they'd been big gold and silver bugs for years. And silver's been so manipulated that people are like, why are you holding on to that? Oh, it's never going to be anything, whatever.
Right.
And so she had kind of been pushed down by a lot of that. And so she was brave enough, and I'm very thankful, because it literally changed our lives. Because of finding out about, why Litecoin, first of all, why crypto at all, and then why Bitcoin, why Litecoin, I learned how broken our financial system is. I really had no idea. I wasn't really involved. Well, and I say I wasn't involved in politics. And then one of the things I say now is everyone's involved in politics, whether you like it or not. It affects you whether you want to look at it and be an active participant or not. So we really just went down that rabbit hole hard and fast, and understood how important it was to have assets in your own possession, and then having hard assets and digital assets being part of that when they're decentralized and you can have your keys in your own possession. So I started following Bix and Ben and Uncle Cliff, all the ones that Mom introduced me to. And Ben actually, Bitcoin Ben was starting some meetups, and he said, "Where should I go?" And I had one of my recreating myself because of what I had learned in the nonprofit world was a lot of marketing and community building, networking. And so I started a little marketing company, and I was doing events and things like that. And so I told Ben, I was like, "Hey, I'll do the whole event for you. I'll do your press releases. I'll do all of it if you'll just come to Oklahoma City." So he was like, "Sure," which led to me meeting John Kim on Twitter and my mothering heart. I fostered and adopted a lot of kiddos. In the past, I have 2 biological kids, but I've adopted 3 and fostered many over the
Yeah.
years. And I was seeing John Kim. That was when he was like living in his car some and staying at these roach motels. And everybody was talking about, who's coming. And the Litecoin fam, like, just opened their arms to me and mom. And they were really loving on Twitter and encouraging and supportive. And so I told John, I was like, "If you're coming to Oklahoma City, you have to stay with us because I'm not having you stay at some sketchy motel." So he ended up coming. He missed the Bitcoin Ben meetup, but he showed up that night at like 11 and stayed for a week or more. And so my husband was working at the time for a Subaru dealership here in town. And we had been working on getting cryptocurrency accepted at the dealership. He was the GM, but there was a different owner, and the owner wasn't so hot on cryptos. So we worked on it, and it all came together. And then now I have all these wonderful internet friends, and it's just kind of wild, but I'm grateful.
That's crazy. Yeah, I didn't know you made all those connections with like John Kim, Bitcoin Ben. It seems like a very close knit family, honestly. Like especially when you talk about the Litecoin community, my goodness. I mean, everyone knows each other, everyone supports each other, and that's a nice thing too. And one of the things with how you got into Bitcoin and Litecoin, there seems to have been some suffering along those lines of, look, I had to go through some pain, some suffering in order to discover this huge technological advancement that doesn't just add more value, like more store of value, but it also adds those friendships, those communities, and it's pretty crazy. Like I didn't know any about nothing about your story behind that. So
yeah, definitely. And even in working in the nonprofit world, a lot of people think, oh, you guys all just eat rainbows and everybody loves each other in the nonprofit world. Well, in the nonprofit world, everyone's fighting for those same dollars. And so it's very competitive. And that's where in cryptocurrency, it's so different because like the more people I can encourage to start a YouTube channel and start talking about crypto, the more crypto gains together. So guess what? I gain. It's like the more people that we get into crypto, there's not, less of crypto. There's more value being brought into crypto, which means we all win. So it's a really healthy ecosystem in that way. And I really appreciate it. And the community is a big part of that for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's funny because people call it like, oh man, it's a Ponzi scheme. Everyone just tries to get someone to buy Bitcoin, and then that just, pumps the value of Bitcoin. Well, no, it's not a Ponzi scheme. We just realize the huge potential that this all has, and we want people to also benefit from it. So, it's not just for our own sake or trying to pump the price of Bitcoin or the price of Litecoin or anything like that.
The Ponzi scheme is the fiat system.
Yeah.
That's the Ponzi scheme. That's the thing that has no value, that tries to get people to put value into it so that then they can lend it out to a third party. They're robbing from Peter to pay Paul. That's a Ponzi scheme. That's what fiat is. So
yeah. So when you first heard of like Bitcoin and Litecoin and all that, what was your first thought? Like, why do you like Litecoin so much? I mean, your name on Twitter is Litecoin Lisa. What is it about Litecoin?
Yeah. So, I heard about Bitcoin a long time ago. I didn't really understand that. In fact, I had watched once I got into it in 2017, I realized, oh, that was Nick Spanos that I was watching in that documentary, and I didn't really understand what was going on, ignored it until mom introduced us to it in 2017. And then we really went into it. But so part of the story is the meeting Ben and having John Kim here. We did the meetup, and John Kim was here for those few days, and he wanted to stay and, talk to some people at my husband's dealership and trying to get that activity, which they did. My husband was successful in having the dealership accept payments through Alliant Payments with Johnny Litecoin's help. But for me, it was kind of one night, I don't know, we were talking with Ben, or maybe Ben was going to have me on or something. I don't remember exactly, but Kim was here, and I said, well, if he can be Bitcoin Ben, then I guess I can be Litecoin Lisa, since that was my first coin. So I've had people say things like, oh, if your name was Karen, you'd be Komodo Karen. I'm like, no, it's because Litecoin was our first coin and our introduction to, and it just happened to be great that it, has the same initials as my first name. So
interesting. Cool. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah, true. Maybe I should be. Yeah, I mean, it's already taken. I can't be Litecoin Carlos. But so you talk about fiat being a Ponzi scheme. Why? I mean, if you were to compare in simple terms, right, for anyone that's watching, the fiat system to the decentralized system where Bitcoin and Litecoin exist, what is the difference? Why do we fight so much for Bitcoin and Litecoin? Why do we hate the fiat system? What is it?
Well, I think it's if you go back to kind of having that possession having possession of a hard asset. Or one time I told a story about, what if you had 10, there were only 10 Hank Aaron a certain year cards, and they were authenticated and all that, and they had a certain value because of that. And so you were like, you know what, I'm going to put my wealth, which our wealth is made from our energy, and our assets, our intelligence, our work, our energy,
Time
and
effort.
I'm deciding, I'm deciding to put my energy into this Hank Aaron card because I believe it holds the value that I'm willing to give for that. And then 2 days later, somebody they decide to print 10 more of them, and all of a sudden your asset is worth half. You have no control of that. So this fiat system that we're in, we have no control, and we're seeing that now where they're turning the printer on. And I remember when the Zimbabwe dollars, and they were literally making purses out of Zimbabwe dollars because the purse had more value than the actual currency, and trying to sell those, and the country was just so desperate. And that's where we're moving towards now with this fiat system. And so people are running for those hard assets, not just cryptocurrency, but land, gold, silver. I mean, that's the other thing. I watch a lot of silver and gold thugs. I have a lot of respect for them.
Yeah.
But I think some of them don't understand that decentralized, there's a difference between just a coin and a cryptocurrency. There's things that, and I think part of that is that I don't know if it was the SEC, whoever made the decision about, the ones that PayPal can use. So like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash. What's the other one? Is that Ethereum? No, probably not. Those fees are too high. Maybe it's Ethereum. I can't remember now. Sorry, but whatever is used on PayPal, those are allowed on PayPal because they've been vetted as currencies, not as assets or projects. There's a difference where, Johnny and I talk on Thursdays about a lot of cryptocurrency stuff, a lot about payments. And he talks a lot about the difference between a true decentralized cryptocurrency and then a project or a token or a utility or the tech behind. And not that one's worse or better, but you just need to know what you're investing in. Are you buying gold and silver? Are you investing in Apple? And some of those projects or tokens or coins are more like investing in a project that you really believe in and has a future. And that's fine. I'm not saying we are involved with both, but I really see that. I don't know. Fiat to me is the whole Dogecoin thing really concerns me. We talked about it today on Wednesday, just because I'm okay with people. Some people are hardcore crypto people, and they're like, oh, why would you be okay with PayPal and people using Cash App to buy crypto and whatever? You know what? It's an on-ramp, and we've got to come up with a granny wallet. We've got to come up with some easier on-ramps. And those might be some of those avenues. And then once people get in, hopefully they get educated on, well, why Bitcoin or why Litecoin or why, these other choices. And then, with some things, with great risk comes great reward. And a lot of people made a lot of money in Doge. My concern is that as it pumped because Elon said so. So when Elon says not, are they going to get hurt? And so, and like I said, with great risk comes great reward. I'm not saying nobody should be holding Doge, and none of anything that I have to say is financial advice, just my own
But
opinion
I
and
mean,
experience.
but to add to that, I mean, they're also buying something that doesn't have a finite supply. I mean, it could possibly have an infinite supply. So at any point, whoever created it, I don't even know who created it, can just print a couple trillion more, billion more. So, you know, I think people are buying it because they're hearing it from Elon Musk, which is fine. And hey, more power to them. But again, people need to realize that there's a very clear distinction between cryptocurrencies and tokens, right? So, for example, you know, my mom is a Theta mom and she loves everything about Theta. That's a token. We got Zilliqa token. We got, I don't know, so many that I chart. And look, I trade, right? So
Yeah.
I do some trading, and I don't just buy cryptocurrencies. I do tokens as well. But people need to differentiate and not just generalize everything is a cryptocurrency, because it's really not. It's just easy to call it cryptos. But yeah,
I think even the term crypto is misunderstood in the normie world.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you'll hear them talking on the news or whatever, like, oh, cryptocurrencies are doing all this dark, evil, mad stuff. And it's like, you know, when there was
Right.
somebody did a like a hijack or a I don't know what the word is. Anyway, they blackmailed somebody and wanted Bitcoin. It's like, that's the worst possible thing you could ask for,
Right.
because it's all on an open ledger. So I think people even misunderstand
You
the
can trace it.
terminology. Yeah,
I
it's
know.
on an
I
open
know. That's
ledger.
why.
We
That's
know what
why.
wallet it went.
Anytime I hear like that Yellen woman or whoever from the Federal Reserve or Christine Lagarde from Europe say, oh, so many nefarious activities occur with Bitcoin and cryptos and terrorists. This is an open source ledger that everyone can see on a distributed ledger online. You can trace almost everything. And so,
Well, and we know how many pallets of dirty fiat have gone to China and everywhere else, you know,
yeah,
in
I
the
mean,
past. So let's not even.
it's a joke. But you know what? And I might sound really stupid just saying this right now, because it's kind of something that I thought about for like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. Like I kind of something like a light bulb moment. And I'm like, wait a minute. Think about it. Like, and this is something that I was just thinking about. Banks are literally the top priority of the government. So if you think about it, when we get paid from work, our money does not go straight to us. It always, every 2 weeks, that paycheck goes directly to a bank. And so who even came up with that rule? I mean, I'm just trying to
Well, are
figure
you
that out.
familiar with where the central banks came from? Jekyll Island, 1917, the
A
whole.
little bit, not as much as you would be, like as you're,
Okay.
you know, with your
Yeah,
knowledge.
that's one of the things that, you know, that I learned when I got into cryptocurrency, because I'm like, well, who came up with this idea of central banking? You know, and they say the federal bank, it's actually not federal. Just like the IRS actually is a private entity out of Puerto Rico. These things are not of our government. They're private entities that were created by the elites to control us. And you know, what's the George Carlin quote? It's a big club and you're not in it. And they've done this to control us. One of the things I get really excited about, another thing I get really excited about with, and Johnny's helped me learn a lot about this. People are like, oh, hating on Visa and MasterCard and cryptos and engaging with it. They're missing the point. I didn't know this, but Johnny works in the payment system. And so
Yeah.
he was talking about how, I said, yeah, but the fees are so high. Why would we sell our, you know, use Litecoin on Visa, whatever? He said, Lisa, that fee is not from Visa. Visa's fee is actually very, very small, similar to Litecoin or something like that. He said the fee is the bank that the card is written on. So when you go to your bank, and there were, you know, investigations on Wells Fargo and I think Bank of America, but I know Wells Fargo for causing people to open a lot of bank accounts, because then they get a lot of fees. Oh, well, you
Yeah.
need a savings account and a this account and a that account. And they actually even they put so much pressure on their staff that the staff were falsifying accounts, and, you know, kind of harvesting. It was almost like a network marketing thing where they're like, you know, get all your parents and your friends and your family to
Ponzi
sign up.
scheme, really. A Ponzi
It
scheme.
really is. And so that kind of stuff is all to control. And then when Johnny was talking about there's, you know, now Visa and MasterCard are talking about using the Lightning Network. Well, only Bitcoin and Litecoin can be used on the Lightning Network. And if that happens, that eliminates the banks. We don't need the banks then. We all have our own wallets. We are our own bank, and we can use the Lightning Network. And at any place that you accepts Visa or MasterCard, you can spend your Litecoin and Bitcoin. So it's a real game changer. They're going to fight tooth and nail to stop that from happening. I think that's part of if you look into the Banking for All Act, and remember that when they create these things, they actually call them something that's typically the exact opposite of what it is. So the Banking for All Act is this idea that the banks will hold a digital wallet for you. And so that if you're not a good little slave, they can turn it off. They can stop any purchase for you. And then they're also creating FedNow, which is the payment processing system, which helps immediate processing of payments and settling, because right now payments don't settle for anywhere from 24 hours to 6 months after they're transacted. But and I guess that goes into, you were asking me about my experience with learning about a lot of this banking stuff has been from hard knocks and pain. After Mom gave us our crypto and we started learning about it, we went to make our first purchase, and we had an account together at Bank of America, and we went to make a purchase on Coinbase, got all our KYC done, went in there, and they were on Coinbase and it won't come through. It says no funds not available or something like that. My husband's like, what the heck? So he calls the bank and they're talking to him, whatever. Oh, I don't know. Get him to the next guy. Finally, he goes, what were you trying to purchase, sir? And he says, cryptocurrency. And he, hold please. And they get the manager on, and the manager then goes forward, and he's got Coinbase on one help desk and the bank on the other. And the bank is lying and saying there has been no effort to gain access or make a purchase from your account. And we're like, we can see the transaction on Coinbase. Like, we know what we did. And so one of my good friends that I met through the foster care world and nonprofit world, her bank always supported us at Christmas, and her family owns a private bank here in town. And so I called her and talked to her about it. And she's like, well, Lisa, they're an investment bank. And I was like, so? And she's like, well, there's different laws. So a credit union and a private bank, a credit union's actually forbidden through their laws of setting up their bank, because a credit union is owned by the members. So they're forbidden to stop you from purchasing what you want. But an investment bank, when you go and, you have to sign all the little papers and all the tiny print in there, it states that they can stop you from making any purchase that they deem too risky. Because once you put that money in, it's theirs. And I did, I think I put it on my Patreon. It's been a while ago, but you guys can Google the Roosevelt when he had these fireside chats. And he's like, I need to have a talk with the American people, because I don't think they understand when the banks failed. Then they don't understand that when you put your money in the bank, it doesn't stay in the bank. It's not actually in there. They go and loan it out. And he's like telling everybody these dirty little secrets of the banks. And that's why it's just so risky. And that's why, another reason, finite supply, just like gold and silver, holding it in your own possession, having those keys in your possession, and then it being decentralized is, I think, also a huge piece of it, because we've seen other coins and projects where it was a centralized effort, and then it can be attacked by things like the SEC and whatever, and all of a sudden, and I don't know if Barry's going to come back or not, but a lot of people that got into Barry, they're not able to use that now.
Yeah, that's crazy. Me being one of them. Are we talking about Veritasium?
Yeah. And I'm not bashing Very. I mean, I have so much respect for Reggie Middleton, and I think they were wronged and all that, but there's a risk there with it being
there is. I mean, and if the SEC goes and tries to knock you out, I mean, they probably will. And that's what happened with Very. I mean, I was a holder of Very, right? And now it's not doing very well, but it happens. But it's just crazy. And I don't understand why we have allowed the government to have so much government control. And we always talk about this government control, government control. You know, it actually bothers me because a lot of people just want their coins to just go up and do a moonshot, kind of like Doge did, all these things, but they don't realize that in the long term, I mean, it will naturally happen. But look, we put so much emphasis in price and not so much on the solutions that these cryptocurrencies, decentralization and tokenization are bringing. Look.
Well, I think that goes back to the being so dependent on exchanges. Everybody's so hell bent, and we have Digibyte. I love Digibyte, but they're constantly begging some exchange to put them on. And there's a math or an equation. There has to be so much volume or whatever for them to do that, liquidity to do that. And why do we need that so badly? Those exchanges centralize us. Well, if we go back to the Bitcoin white paper, this was meant to be a peer-to-peer exchange. We keep capturing ourselves. And I think it goes back to, one of Jeff Berwick's comments that he makes all the time is that people are willing to give up their freedom for safety, and or what they deem as safety. What the irony is, they're actually imprisoning themselves to be safe,
Right. So, and, to that point, I don't know what your thoughts are on Edward Snowden, but, I was watching a movie. I haven't read his book or anything, but I've done some research as to what happened and all that. And it was kind of like an eye opener to me. I mean, in reality, right now, they could be spying on me right now, the government, right? So
they are
essentially,
they are.
Yeah. I mean, essentially what happened with Edward Snowden is, I think he was like a CIA, maybe director, or high rank there. And, he basically leaked some documents, right? That was basically showing that the government is actually spying more on American citizens than on our actual enemies. And so, right now with a touch of a button, they could be watching me. Even if my phone is off or even if my camera is off, they could be taking a video of me right now, knowing exactly who I'm talking to. They can do anything. And so, it all goes back.
Some of the largest computers in the world. And that's what a lot of it is doing. And, it's about control. And I have a phone. I admit it. I'm a slave too. And we've got to find those other decentralized issues. And I think when you were talking about, we look at this price pump and think that's what's going to bring us our freedom. That's not what brings us our freedom. Bringing our freedom is when we start taking self-control and responsibility for our finances, for our health, for our security. Those all have to come from ourselves to be really, truly be free. And that's scary for a lot of people, me included, and so, are you willing to do those things?
I mean, this is no conspiracy. I mean, what happened with Edward Snowden should worry so many people. And Julian Assange, same thing.
I was going to say Assange.
I mean, these guys, the government wants to kill him. If they could, they would take him out in a second. And all they did is speak the truth. They're actual patriots. And I mean, I work for the government because, and so I probably will get fired eventually for what I say, but that's okay. But I mean, think about it. I mean, you are punished for being a patriot, for speaking the truth, for standing up for your principles that were founded by our founding fathers, right? And so, I don't know why
was fired actually about a year ago now.
Really?
Yeah, he was standing up.
He probably stood up, spoke the truth, and got fired. So it's crazy, but I don't get it. I don't know why people do not see this as concerning and why they don't do anything or at least show any support for freedom of government.
Remember that there's a lot of brainwashing from early on. They want us to. Kindergarten was created. The Nazis didn't go away. They came to America. If you read about Operation Paperclip, and kindergarten, all that, and now they're wanting us to put our kids in school earlier and earlier, and they want to separate and divide the family. And what they've done to the Black families is terrible. I mean, I worked in inner city ministry for years and had just watching not just Black families, but the poverty culture that is taught that if you renounce the husband, don't put the husband's name on the kid's birth certificate, then you'll get a good little check. And then they're taught that that's all there is. And there's this huge gap of no help where a lot of families could make it with a little bit of help and then get on their own feet, but there's no help for you there. You either have to be completely submitted to their power and agree to live in a poverty culture, or you have to do it on your own, and then they're just stealing from you every time, every 2 weeks if they send your paycheck to the bank. So that's where we can make some choices. It's going to be hard. It's a sacrifice. It's scary and dangerous, but what's more dangerous? Living, under this mind control of schools, brainwashing, indoctrination camps that everybody talks about. Also the programming, television, there's, you can watch, there's a Netflix, I think it's Netflix series called America's Book of Secrets. And one of the episodes is them talking about openly, the CIA talking about Project Mockingbird, and that they write the narrative for all the mainstream media, and they tell them what they're going to say. And so we're all just being brainwashed, and it's been over time. And I go back to, just my past, my first marriage, and coming out of that fog of abuse and control. It was embarrassing and painful and all kinds of things. And so I think America's kind of going through that. I think that Uncle Cliff was on my last show in the chat, and he said, you can't see the mountain when you're climbing it, when you're climbing out of the valley. And I think we're climbing out of this valley where it's just getting more and more ridiculous and absurd. We're talking about passports now for being able to move around our own country. We're talking about, I was excited that there was at least one Miami school that said, that if you got the experimental prick, that you would not be able to work there. But that's few and far between,
That's crazy. I don't know.
I don't want to get your channel taken.
Yeah, let's avoid that. But
I'll be careful in my wording.
No, but look. I mean, there's conspiracies, there's this and that, and there's strong beliefs because, I mean, look, people get mad at me when I go on rants about the government or maybe even about the current situation with COVID and this and that. But look, there is a reason why. It's not just because I'm happy making conspiracies or I'm happy yelling at the government. If you look at the track record of the government, they continue to lie straight to your face. Iraq war. It was a war started based on a lie. What else? Snowden, government spying
9/11.
On you. 9/11. Right. So all these things, I mean, you just keep stacking it. And believe it or not, I mean, people think they're conspiracies, but they're not. They're facts. It's crazy. So that's why I have that.
Yeah, even the term conspiracy was created by the CIA to discredit people that were not going along with the narrative. That's part of their disinformation, something else, and then discrediting to make you look like, you're crazy, you're dumb, you don't know what you're talking about, you're not following along with the narrative. So they're going to basically bully you, shame you, and then nobody wants to get bullied or picked on. That's why most people don't think they really need a face diaper, but they wear them because they're worried somebody's going to say something to them. But when you ask them, like, do you really think that helps you? No, but I don't want anybody to say anything to me. And so I don't believe that America is a bunch of cowards, mindless cowards. I don't know how painful it's going to be to wake up, but I know in my first marriage, I got to that point where it got painful enough to wake up. And I think we're all going to come to that tipping point, and I think pretty quickly, to be honest.
And it's interesting because you see it everywhere, and I've noticed this. People are so petty nowadays, and I don't care. I don't care if people take offense to this. It doesn't matter. People take offense to everything. They love participation points in sports. People are winning for just playing. Right, exactly. People love being the victim, and the sad thing is that we're training people to believe in that. I'm telling you right now, if you want to be successful in anything, you cannot play the victim. You cannot let the government be your daddy and your mommy and have the government take care of you, give you money to succeed, give you money to. We're training people from an early stage. Look, I was seeing on Twitter, And I'm seeing it around, right? My fiance, she works in the restaurant industry. She knows restaurant owners, and they tell her, man, we're struggling right now. We
Yeah.
cannot find anyone to work.
They don't
We
want
are
to work.
trying,
Right.
they don't want to work. And
UBI
so,
will be I mean, will destroy that. But I think that's where it's going to get to a point where people have to make a choice. Are you going to be in the system? Are you going to live the UBI and live in the, years ago they had in China, there's whole cities of high rises that are built that are completely empty because they were waiting for their plan to move everybody into that and us to all become slaves. And this is not just about America. This is happening worldwide. This is the elite bankers. This is the cabal, whatever you want to call them. The IMF is not your friend. They're not looking out for you.
no,
You know,
I don't know. I don't know what's it gonna take for people to kind of just realize this,
I
but
think it has to get personally painful. Like when we saw the bank lying to us and telling us the minute you work hard for what you do get to keep outside of Uncle Sam and all that, and you go to try to make a purchase to better yourself or something that you want, and the bank slaps your hand and says, "No, that's my money. You can't buy that." That was a big wake up for us, and I think that's where it's going to have to get painful for people at whatever level that is. I don't know if that's, you didn't get to go be with your grandmother while she was dying. I don't know. I don't know if that means you couldn't have your wedding where you wanted. I don't know if that means you lost your job and you lost your house. And it's getting painful for a lot of people all over the world. And, America, we're very egocentric and think it's all about us, but I have friends with family in Turkey and they have just been, Canada's been locked down again. UK is still on lockdown. Turkey, you get arrested if you even leave your home in Turkey. So it's getting really painful around the world and we're all suffering and people will have enough at some point. I just don't know what that point is.
well, and where most of the usage is for cryptocurrencies like Dash, Litecoin, or any of this. It's in third world countries, and it's in countries where hyperinflation has hit them. It's not in first world countries like the United States, United Kingdom, or anything like that. And so why is it? It's because their fiat is worthless. They're literally burning it to keep their houses warm. And so, look, the moment you're faced with a problem and your safety and health is at risk, all of a sudden your mind starts turning into the solution. Because right now, in first world countries, we're in a very complacent state of mind, right? Everything is fine. Government can do whatever it can. We're fine. We're safe. I'm going to my job. I'm making some bucks, whatever. I'm going back to home. I'm, whatever. But in other countries, people have to seek the solution because they have no other option. Eventually, as shit hits the fan, people in these countries where complacency has set in, they're going to have to seek the solution. And people are doing it little by little. And like you said, look, there's so many on-ramps, PayPal, there's Venmo, there's all these places, Robinhood, where you can buy cryptos, right? Little by little, people are going to start to get the exposure. And a lot of people are calling this kind of like a reset. So it's a slow and steady reset to maybe transition. I don't know who's controlling this, but transition.
Well, my husband always says that everybody has a plan until you get hit in the mouth. And I think that's what it's going to take. And this transition actually is going to hurt the wealthy that have stocks and dirty fiat and all that. There are some companies that are now, Michael Saylor, and we're seeing more and more companies, big companies getting into cryptocurrency because they do see the use case of it and what's happening with the US dollar and how much money they're actually losing by holding on to the US dollar. But the kind of one of the saving graces in this, which is kind of a good and a bad thing, most people live paycheck to paycheck. Most people don't have wealth or savings outside of their 401ks, which may or may not be destroyed. I don't know how that's going to transition. But the wealthy that have, paper dollars saved places with hyperinflation, it's just going to go away. Now, those people that are transitioning that have the, live paycheck to paycheck, well, it's going to go from being that digital US dollar paycheck that goes into your bank to being a US DC digital currency that goes into your bank. and then they're just going to spend it on their credit card. They're not going to even know they're using digital currency versus the old ledger, really.
Yeah.
But they won't feel it. They'll just see prices going up. You know what I mean? But they're not going to have that tremendous transfer of wealth and that loss. The blessing that all of us are in, we're still in early adopters. We're still in so early that transfer of wealth of the uber wealthy, that will be painful for them. I mean, some of those people probably never tied their shoes. They're going to have to figure it out. They don't know where the grocery store is, you know? So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it will be interesting. But see, I wonder why there hasn't been much pushback, or maybe because there can't be any pushback against cryptocurrencies. I mean, if you look, I mean, if cryptos end up working the way they should be working and the way that we see them or foresee them working, I mean, this is going to take down some big guys out there and big girls. I mean, I don't know why we haven't seen a government like, look, I don't know. I mean, if I was the US and I saw Bitcoin, I would be, that might take our world reserve currency status away a little bit, or it might jeopardize it. I should probably ban it or do something like that. Why haven't we seen that?
It doesn't matter if they ban it. It's also protected by the First Amendment. Cryptocurrency is software. It's speech.
That's true.
So it's protected by the First Amendment. Also, it doesn't matter if they ban it. The U.S. government doesn't recognize Mexican currency, but I can go spend Mexican currency. I could even spend it in the U.S. if I have somebody who agrees to receive it. So it really they can ban whatever they want, but with like projects like what is it Starlink, that satellite thing, where even if the grid goes down, you can also transmit Bitcoin over radio frequencies, I read the other day. So there's no banning of Bitcoin. That's not going to happen. What I would not be surprised to learn is that those big computers at the NSA in Utah have been mining Bitcoin, or in Antarctica, where, you know, it's so cold there, they could mine like crazy. Or maybe in the, the mountain where the big button is.
I don't know.
Anyway, so I wouldn't be surprised if some of these countries are already, I think that that's all a possibility. And maybe it's not just a Bitcoin backed dollar, but it might be a basket of wealth, like, you know, our national parks and what gold and silver and oil are in our current nation, and then maybe partially with Bitcoin and those true decentralized cryptocurrencies. So I don't know. We'll see. I think it's an exciting new world.
I know.
Not so scary when you got in, you know, early enough to see. It's not a train coming at me. I feel like I know I'm at a stop, you know, or I know the plan, at least part of it.
I gotcha. So how much longer do you have? I don't want to keep you here forever.
I got a little bit. What is it? I've got to cook dinner here in a little bit, but
okay, all right.
Another 20 minutes or so.
Okay, let's keep talking a little bit. So, you are a Theta believer, right?
Yeah, I love Theta.
You like Theta. You love Theta. What?
I think Theta is absolutely essential. I don't think it's even I like it. It's
okay, but what? Okay, why? So look, I interviewed Wes Levitt. I talked about Theta, but he was kind of, you know, high, you know,
very technical,
an expert.
Yeah.
So I'm very technical, and
I'm not that
still
girl.
trying. I'm still trying to grasp the idea of what Theta is. What does it solve? Why do you say it's needed?
So Theta shares bandwidth. As there's more and more people, and as we're all moving home or we're just all mobile all the time, we're all online all the time. Theta is the new internet. It's the new online. And partnerships they have, Sony, Samsung, there's already talk that Samsung's already putting wallets or nodes in all the devices, TVs, phones, all that, so that we're all constantly sharing bandwidth, because especially with 5G. So 5G is really powerful, but it has a very short bandwidth. You have to be kind of close to a 5G tower to be affected by it or using it or whatever. And so with Theta, we can all share bandwidth. And I am not technical person. This is my understanding of all this. So anybody's welcome to correct me. But I just think I see it being really a valuable thing, and then being able to run the nodes, sharing bandwidth with people, and then also having the staking option for Theta. I think more and more of these staking projects are going to bring. It's cool to save money now. In the 80s, like I was born in 70s. In the 80s, nobody saved money. Everybody had gold nugget rings and Camaros, and you know what I mean? It was like everybody's spending money with the big oil, going crazy. Now it's cool. Like I just on my show on Monday with Mom A, we do crypto news, and I think it was Forbes Crypto came out with a study, and teenagers, the top 3 things they spend their money are Chick-fil-A sandwiches, Nike gear, and Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's cool to save money. It's cool to say you have Bitcoin. Yeah, and that is a huge shift and change. And, back in the day, coming out of the Depression in the 30s and whatever, people did, in the 50s, everybody saved. You had your bonds, and you were making your interest. Well, the banks have destroyed all that for everybody. We're now at a situation where they're going to start doing negative interest, where they charge you. They're already charging you with fees and stuff, but they're also going to charge you negative interest so that you have to pay for the privilege of them holding your money. Well, we don't need that. We have crypto. We don't need it.
Yeah. So, that's crazy. But, also on top of the bandwidth, you can also stream and share content in a decentralized fashion. So, okay. So
I'm struggling with that.
but what happened though? So your YouTube channel got taken down.
Yeah. And so I was on a show with Johnny, and we were talking about a software that he had found that helps you track your trades so that you can report legally to the IRS for your crypto trades. And literally during the live, with no strikes on my channel at all, I was terminated. I asked for an appeal. They gave me an appeal and came back and said no, that they had reviewed it and that I was inciting harmful and dangerous or illicit and dangerous activity or something like that.
Wow.
So then that was on a Thursday. Friday, we jumped on my buddy Westwood's channel and streamed our happy hour for that, which was not too happy, but I was working really hard to find other platforms. Odyssey is a great platform. I love Odyssey because you earn cryptocurrency and your community earns cryptocurrency just for watching you. So, and they've got a great live streaming thing that I'll show you if you haven't already figured it out.
I would love to learn more.
Yeah, and we could connect it with your software that you have and everything, because I know how to do that now. So it's and that's another point of our conversation earlier. People don't do things till it gets painful. I've seen people lose their channel on YouTube. I've seen all this stuff happen, but I got complacent. I got lazy, and I wasn't looking for those alternatives. I kind of knew about them, but I wasn't really investing in the tech and learning and all that. Well, then when you get the carpet pulled out from under you, then all of a sudden it's painful when you get dropped on your head and you start looking and learning and trying to figure things out. And so I've been playing around. I was trying to stream on Theta. I set up my Guardian node and or what's it called, where you run it on for the streaming. Is it the Guardian? We also
Guardian
have
node or something like that. Yeah.
The Edge node. I think the Edge helps you stream. And then we have Guardian nodes as well. But the Edge node you have to run on your device that you're streaming on, which I set all that up, got it going, whatever. And I don't know if I just, like I said, I'm not a technical person. Your mom was starting to help me with some of this.
Yeah, she knows how to do that.
Yeah, the language is different. So she's going to help me, because I was like, okay, well, which one's my SMTP URL and which one is my stream key? And so I wasn't able to figure that out. And then they said you had to do like a shout out to get a stream key on social media, which I did, but I didn't catch the response or something. Anyway, so hopefully mom can help me with that. But it's a little clunky, it's a little difficult to learn how to do this stuff. So they've got to come up with, one of the things Cliff talked about in his Alta reports, Cliff High talked about in his Alta reports, was the granny wallet. And so I think when we start hearing language around the granny wallet, that will be a big tip for mass adoption. So they got to clean some of this stuff up.
That's interesting. Huh, that's crazy. But Back to the centralized stuff, the censorship.
Yeah.
It's crazy how you know all these channels are censoring other people, and not even for doing what they claimed you were doing. I mean, you didn't do anything wrong. So
well, and then on the next, so that was on Thursday that I lost that channel. So then I reached through another browser. I got another whole different email and started another channel. And on Monday, the first day that I streamed on that new channel, I was terminated live stream, no strikes, no warnings, no nothing, talking about crypto news with Mame. And literally we just go through like what are the most exciting, you know, relevant topics for crypto every Monday. Kind of great way to start the week. What's going on? She's involved in some projects that we share, and she loves NFTs because she's an artist. So we've been talking a lot about that. And that got cut midstream, and I peeled that, and then they gave me that one back. Well, of course, I lost over 5,000 followers. I've lost any monetization. I can't monetize on that channel because it's so new. It doesn't have enough hours and all that. So I've been really grateful. My community, a lot of them found me and followed me to my new channel. And then a lot of them decided to become a Patreon. And I charge $5 a month. And I check my messages twice a day and offer them to come on the show and share their crypto journey. And I try to answer questions as best I can and give them information. So a bunch of them jumped on there to really show me support. And, you know, they say it's better to have 4 quarters than 100 pennies. And I think that my community is that kind of community where like everybody's really got each other's back and there is that, you know, connection. So
that's awesome.
I'm very great.
Gotta love the fam, the crypto fam, Litecoin fam, all the fam on crypto. They're just so supportive all the time. So, but okay, let's wrap this thing up. So Lisa, I normally do some rapid fire kind of like things. So I'm gonna say a phrase, I'm gonna say maybe a word, and you got to respond with 1 word description, the first word that comes into your mind. Okay. So I'm gonna put you on the spot. Not too bad. Let's start with Bitcoin.
Oh, decentralized.
This could get you in trouble. I don't know.
Am I only supposed? Are you going to say the X word? Don't say the X word.
No, I wasn't planning on. Do you want me to say it?
No, please don't.
Okay. What about YouTube?
CCP.
Stock market. The stock market right now.
Ponzi.
All right. Litecoin.
Fam.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And the right coin. I think it's the white hat's money, to be honest.
Yeah, true. What about Theta?
Now I have Bic singing in my head. Go Theta, go Theta, go Theta, go. Yeah, I think Theta is the new internet.
New internet. Okay, gotcha. Okay, last one. Peter Schiff.
Oh, poor little Peter.
Poor little
Peter.
Oh man, he's funny. But all right. So last thing, what is one book or movie or something that's meaningful? It changed the way you see things. Anything?
Oh yeah. Gosh, a lot of things.
Maybe 1 or 2 examples. Something.
Yeah. So spiritually, The Shack. Reading the book, I wasn't a big fan of the movie, but reading the book was really impactful for me. I live in the Bible Belt, and so it helped me free that kind of the religion crap around God and the universe and how we put God in a box. It was a really powerful book. It's really hard to get through the first chapter or 2 because there's a child that passes away and all that. So I read that a long time ago, but very impactful book. And then one book that I read pretty consistently and I recommend to people probably more than anything is a book called Boundaries. And it really, I love people deeply and fiercely, and I'm very loyal. I'm kick dog, faithful, loyal girl. And I've had to learn to have boundaries in that. And I can love someone, but my boundaries are here. And you can live inside my boundaries and I have all kinds of help and security, and you can live outside and that's okay. I still love you, but you don't get the same kind of things. And so it's been really freeing for me to not be angry when somebody didn't want the same things as me or have that same kind of relationship that maybe I wanted to have with them. I can still love them, but I can have it with boundaries and keep myself safe.
Huh, might have to check those out.
Great books. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, Litecoin Lisa, thanks for coming on the show. I loved it. Maybe we can do another one again and talk more about government control and censorship and all these, all these things, because people need to know about it, right? And so we're trying to help other people, and we're also trying to have fun talking. So again, thanks for coming on the show, and follow. So you got is that your Twitter username?
My Lisa
at Lisa. Yeah. Go ahead.
Lisa Mighty Davis. So Mighty is my daughter that passed away. We called her Mighty Mia. And so when I got remarried, I was Lisa Davis, and there's like a million of them. So I took on Lisa Mighty Davis to honor her. And then you can go to my new YouTube channel. You can find it easier for some reason if you search Lisa Litecoin. I don't know. It's a whole algo thing, which we can have a whole nother conversation about. But yeah, so find me there. I've got a Patreon that I spoke about earlier, and that's always in the links in the description of any of my videos. But I'd love to meet some of your community, and you'll have to come on my show sometime.
Yes,
now that I know you're such a patriotic coin holder, you're going to have to come on my Tuesday show on my Patreon that we have to put up behind a paywall because Amy can't mind her P's and Q's.
That would be fun. I'm down.
Okay. Awesome.
All right. Yes. All right. Sounds good. All right. Well, thanks, Lisa. Thanks for coming on the show. And we'll see you again on another Coin Vigilante episode in the near future.
Sounds good.